This is a download from BFM 89.9, the business station.
Good morning, this is Frida Liu. You're listening to Her Vantage on Enterprise, and Her Vantage is where we speak to women of influence and leadership. Now, the issue of poverty is a problem that is shared globally across countries. For children living under the poverty line, many are often born into such circumstances and do not have a choice. To address and tackle this issue, we have Principal Officer of the Budimas Charitable Foundation and Rajasaikaran here in the studio to talk about this foundation. I've definitely heard of the Budimas Charitable Foundation, but tell us the history behind this.
Budimas has been around for approximately 20 years. It's been incorporated in 1998. I've been with them for about 8 years. Let me tell you a little bit as to how the whole foundation started. It started off with a bunch of insurance companies who got together and decided that they wanted to do CSR and they wanted to do charity. And one of their core interests was to help children. So the whole idea was that every year one company would champion the fundraising aspect of it. But eventually, no one actually took on that.
Okay.
And my boss, Tunku Yaakob, the current chairman, took it on and set up a whole new set of board of trustees and decided that he will set up the foundation and actually make it happen. So that is the history of Budimas.
Okay, now you read law and then you got into PR and before you stumbled across Budimas. So what made you decide to do this? Your story.
Okay. Well, I read law when I did my A-levels and I did my first year. And then I was supposed to leave to go to England and finish it, and that didn't happen. Then I went on to work in a hotel to actually make up for my first year semesters in a local university. And then I finished my advertising, communication. And then I went on to work as a PR executive, naturally, because so you must understand, I already started late, because I'm in my 20s, people are working and I'm still in school. So I said I needed to make money quick and I needed to work to pay off my student loan. So I went on to work in an oil and gas company. That's always my passion. I did my thesis on Petronas. I was very focused. I knew where I wanted to go. I ended up in Chevron.
Okay.
So over there, I was a communications aide and I learned a lot over there. I was on the other side. We were the company which was doing CSR work for all of these small kampongs, for all of these places and all these children who needed our help. Every time we went and built a gas station, a petrol station, we would come and do good for the society over there. So for me, I found it very interesting that shortly after that, I ended up in an insurance company, the MA Group, and I was a PR executive over there. And then Budimas was in existence, because it's part of the Malewa Group CSR project. So on and off, I would help Budimas. I knew Budimas was always there, and that's how I slowly, from being a PR executive over there, my boss said, why don't you go and help out with the collaterals, with the advertising aspect, with their events and everything. Cut long story short, I went in there and there was 3 people and now there's 20 people.
Okay, so that was 8 years ago.
Yes.
And what got your attention to join Budimas full time? And what was the situation or something you saw that you resonated with Budimas?
Okay, it was a very small foundation, but it was very simple and they wanted to help children. And back then, they were only supporting 4 homes, So every time I went and visited these kids and I saw these children, I would actually feel that it felt so good at the end of the day, after you'd go there, you'd do all of your office work, you do all the applications, the paperwork, everything, it's very similar to corporate. But at the end of it, you get a thank you from a child. You get that phone call saying they did well. Or you would get this person saying, "Hi auntie, how are you today?" And that made me feel very, very different.
How were these homes selected?
Okay, these homes were basically recommended by the public.
So there are 4 homes at the moment?
Back then, there was only 4 homes
Right.
because that was all Budimas could afford to
Okay.
support back then. Yeah,
Right.
because you must understand back then our fundings were really, really low. So these 4 homes were actually recommended by members of the public, and we went over there and we checked them out. They had kebajikan approval, so it meant that they were run properly.
Right.
So we would allocate a small amount of 500 ringgit to 1,000 ringgit, and we would support them for a year. And then after a year finishes, we subject to review.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how we did it.
And now how many homes?
Now we have 32 homes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Again, so this is every year you'll have a review of how the funds are
Yeah.
selected and all that, how the funds are used and whether they get selected.
Yes.
And have you had to stop with some homes before?
Yes,
Why?
we have. Okay, what we do is that we go in there, we look at their financial statements, or the very little, receipt book or ledger book that they have. We help them out because sometimes a lot of these homes, they're not just receiving help from you alone. They're receiving help from Auntie A, Uncle B, and everyone else. So we help them manage their fundings, because sometimes you have 10 people donating rice to the same home. So for them, it's how much rice can we eat, right? So we help them out. So we tell them like, okay, maybe some of it you sell and then you can pay your electricity bills, you can pay your rent. So we help them out for a year or 2 or 3.
Right.
And eventually when we see that they're getting the hang of it, we slowly stop. We wean them off it and then we support another home.
I see. All right. And how many approved homes are there in Malaysia?
There are a lot of homes, approved homes, not many, because when you go through the kebajikan list, it's also very vague. Some of them have the kebajikan approval, but then the following year they don't get the approval, but they still operate. So that's how you have a lot of these issues and, when they don't follow by certain rules, child abuse and things like this tend to arise.
Right.
But so far, I can tell you, as long as I've been here, thank God that we've had no homes which had issues like this so far.
Because first of all, you check whether they're still approved.
Yes.
Okay.
We have a dedicated team to actually do our visits. We visit them 2 to 3 times a year to ensure that they are on the right track.
Okay, so when you look at Budimas, the foundation, right, what are the core objectives there?
Okay, our main purpose is to help underprivileged children. When I say help, we mean that we want to basically get them out of the cycle of poverty. We don't want them to be what their parents were. We don't want them to just repeat it.
Yeah.
We want them to be out of it. That is our main core. If we've achieved that, we've done well.
So when you look at Malaysia, where does Malaysia stand in regards to the poverty issue for children? Now, according to the University of Malaya research, there are currently over 157,000 children that are living under the poverty line in Malaysia.
Yes. I feel that Malaysia is actually doing okay. I'm just saying okay. But we could do way much better because there are a lot of cases which are not highlighted.
Okay.
If you go to the rural areas in Kapar or you go to some Kampung Orang Asli in Negeri Sembilan, you will realize that they don't even fall under those statistics. They're worse than that. And it's not been picked up. So sometimes when they say that, your school-going children, you're doing fine. No, they're actually malnourished. We've actually gone to some schools and we realized that a lot of children who were actually 15 and 16-year-old have body compositions of 10-year-olds simply because they are malnourished. And this is not highlighted simply because no one finds a problem in it. They just keep saying that, oh no, you're just small size, you're fine, you're talking well. Actually, we do have a problem.
And then from there, it affects their education.
Of course it does. They
Right.
don't pay attention in school. They don't want to go to school because they're poor or they're sleepy at school. Sometimes they have to travel so far to get to school and there's no interest and there's nothing to look forward to.
Right. And so these 32 homes are across Malaysia or just largely in Peninsular Malaysia?
Across Malaysia, Sabah and Sarawak included.
Oh, okay. So you all go through
Yes.
all of it, right?
Yeah.
All right. And we'll talk a little bit more about the Budimas Charitable Foundation after this. I'm here with Anne Rajasaikaran. You're listening to Enterprise BFM 89.9.
Be faithful, men. BFM 89.9.
This is Enterprise. Good morning, Frida Liu here. It's Her Vantage, where we speak to women of influence and leadership. And Rajasaikaran, Principal Officer of the Budimas Charitable Foundation here. They're already celebrating 20 years, this foundation, and their core objective is to help children, right? And so you designed a brilliant plan to help the dilemma these children face by addressing the three basic necessities: food, home, and education. So talk about this and, how does this plan help them recover from it?
Okay. When I first came in, we did just one thing. We had the home program where we would fund homes which was approved by Kebajikan to basically fund them financially, and we did just that. We didn't get involved in their operations or whatsoever. Then later on, when we started getting in more funds, we realized that we could do a little bit more instead of just supporting homes. So we started off this feeding program. I started off this program by chance, by accident, when I went to this place in Kappa and I realized the children were malnourished over there. And after speaking to some school teachers over there, we did a trial run for 2 months to see how we could pay the canteen operators, and the canteen operators, with the help of the school teachers, could actually identify these kids and feed them breakfast for 2 months to see whether it was going to make a difference.
Okay.
Can you believe it? In 2 months, we actually saw full attendance in school because children were actually showing up for the food.
Okay.
Yes. And it was via a very, very small budget. It started off with 1 ringgit. And then from 1 ringgit, it went to 150. Today, it sits at 2 ringgit and 50 cents per child. So from there, we started off with 5 schools in Klang. And then we expanded to Malacca, Negeri Sembilan, Penang, Kedah, and we also have some in Perak as well. So today we support close to 1,500 children nationwide for this feeding program.
Well, when you hear these stories and you think, wow, they just go to school because they can't get enough food at home.
No, they can't. Yeah, because if you actually go down there and you speak to them, you will realize that our categorization of poor is very different, What we deem as poor is when we feel that, okay, petrol prices went up, and I'm poor, I can't pay, and I probably cannot travel so much because petrol prices went up.
I cannot get the latest headphone.
Yes. So that's our, complaints about being poor. But for them, poor means that they don't have electricity in their house. They don't have proper flooring in their houses. So they step on the actual soil, you know. That's another level of poor. That is real poor,
Right.
So that's why I tend to meet people and tell them about this, what we deem as poor and what is really poor is very, very different.
Yeah. And I guess because if they go to school, they get an education, that will break the poverty cycle. Now, so over the past couple of years, how many children has Budimas helped provide these necessities?
Okay. We would basically say that over the years, 150,000, more than 150,000 has benefited from all of our programs because from our home programs, from our food programs, and also via our education program. And that's also a very new program which has been around for a couple of years. We are trying to tap on the Orang Asli children.
Right. Okay.
Also via education, because we believe education's the only way out of this whole thing, because there's really no point of us giving them money and funding them from time to time when after that what happens to them? They take their money and they spend it, So we want to teach them as to how they can sustain themselves and be proper members of society, that they don't have to fall into this poverty cycle again.
Right.
Yeah.
And in terms of funds, how do you guys go about getting funds? Is it largely through donations?
Yes, it's largely through donations, and it's from the general public. It's from the Malaysian public. We have very generous Malaysian publics who believe in our cause, and they actually donate to us on a monthly basis, and we truly appreciate this.
Is there a program that people go online, they can donate and things like that?
Yes, you can actually. You can go to our website and you can donate online, and you can pledge every month, The amount is as low as 38 ringgit.
Okay.
to 88 ringgit. It really depends, because we believe that, when we inform people about this, a lot of people are very happy to help, but they just want to know where their money is going to.
Okay.
And I truly understand that, because there are a lot of other charities who has a lot of mismanagement, or you just don't know where the money is going to.
Right.
Yeah.
So you all put a report out on what your money
we
is?
have our audited report on our website. Everyone is very free to come and see it, look at it and check it out, because I believe there has to be a certain level of accountability, because you're asking people to part with their money for free for their trust in you to do the right thing. So hence why we have our reports there, and they're very free to come to our office and speak to us, and we can actually show where the money is.
And it's also tax deductible, right?
It is tax deductible.
Okay. So what sort of events do you all have how do you all go about raising funds as well? Is it just, do you have your dinners or events and things like that? Or is it just largely, it just happens like clockwork that you do get money coming in?
Okay. We have our direct debit donor program. We also speak to people, and we have a lot of companies who call us, who want to do CSR projects with us. Those are one-off projects. We have a lot of very good supporters. And we also started doing this fundraiser dinner because we noticed that a lot of people said that they like to attend events like this, and they want to know where their money is going to. So this is going to be our third year in organizing our dinner. We have a fundraiser dinner which we organize every year around April. So this year's one's already passed. So next year's one's coming is on the April 19th. So it's going to be held in the Majestic Hotel. So you can buy tickets and you can come there and you can help us support our programs by attending this dinner. And next year we are solely raising funds for our feeding program. So there's going to be a good twist to it.
Okay.
Meaning like we're going to get people to come and revel in dinner, have fun at dinner, and feed a child.
Okay.
Yeah. So
As in there'll be a child there?
no, but the food is actually going to be served in the way as to how a child receives breakfast every day. We have this tiny Budimas Tupperwares, which we serve people food in. So you get to see that, and you get to take that home. And every time you look at that Tupperware, you will know that you have actually made a difference
to someone's life and all that, right?
Yes.
So, and in terms of participation, people are generous, people are helpful and willing as well. So that's really good to know. And the other thing is, there is this budget 2018. There's the government has provided a 50 million boost for NGOs. How do you think that will be able to help yourself as well?
The minute we saw that in the news the other day, we were quite excited because we contacted all of our homes to actually inform them of this and to tell them that they can actually tap on this. There's a good amount of budget for education, and there's also for OKU children. A lot of our children fall under the categorization of OKU, and they get an allowance from it. So we actually tap on that to actually get that money so that we can run more programs with them with that. So we were very happy to know about this, but a lot of our homes don't know about this, So our job is to actually educate them on this. Listen, there's this budget sitting there. Tap on it. Get it, I feel, of course, we could always get more out of it. But at this point, we are very grateful with what we have. But at the same time, we would like to, see how else we can leverage on this.
Right. You were saying that companies like to participate in one-off CSR projects. What are some, can you give me an example of a CSR project that a company has taken on?
We have like an education program which Shell has undertaken. They've basically allocated X amount of money for us to actually run programs for our children. And we've actually given them very good reports as to how this has benefited our children. You see, we have all of these programs, we just need fundings for it to actually execute them, because I believe children, they thrive on this, and something as simple as education and tuition and stuff like that, they need the proper tuition teachers. They need the programs, and all of this costs money. So as long as we get the fundings coming in steadily, we can actually execute this program.
Okay. So in terms of 2018, the big project is the dinner.
The dinner
that will help you go on for a while. And I guess one other thing as well. We talk about we've heard of the child kids, right?
Yeah.
And their children living on the streets, absolutely, no food, water, shelter, and education.
Yes.
So your focus is not so much that, but within homes.
Yeah.
So you can actually monitor the situation a lot better.
There are a lot of organizations helping the child kids. We work with them on that because there's already a platform there, you know, in a sense of actually going there and doing something for them. For us, it's a bit not here, not there sort of situation because we don't make a big difference or an impact, you know. Providing them lunch and dinner today will solve their problem today. But what happens to them tomorrow and day after?
Right.
We try to look on the long term. We try to teach them how to fish to go on ahead. So we try and give some of the mothers over there and the children, like we provide them housing or actually try and get them jobs to get them off the streets, you know. We do that little with them.
Right. Well, thank you for all the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
It's been to Anne Rajasaikaran from the Budimas Charitable Foundation. You've been listening to Her Vantage and Enterprise, BFM 89.9.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. To find more great interviews, go to bfm.my or find us on iTunes. BFM 89.9, the business station.